All right, we're here. So, hi, welcome. I'm so very excited today. Life's Co-Pilot is an affiliate with a company we have called Caring Transitions, and we try to bring to the public different resources that seniors and their senior families can benefit from, so you don't realize you don't have to be out there all on your own. Is really what this is all about. And today I want to introduce Halo Senior Solutions. Todd, Howard, and Nita are going to tell us a little bit about what they are doing, and I'll let you guys introduce yourself first, and then we'll go into some questions and stuff. So I'll let you go. Todd, we'll start with you.
Todd Howard. So thanks for the intro and thanks for having us, Jim. Todd Howard. I was the founder and leader of Halo Senior Solutions, headquartered here in Indianapolis. And since about 2015, we've helped hundreds of families make the senior transition from long-time home to some type of retirement living. So we're excited to be here today.
Well, thank you. Nita, introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Nita Brooks. I've been with Halo and Todd for, I guess, coming up on 3 years this summer. I'm kind of in an operational role with Halo, and I do a little bit of, I guess, everything from marketing to accounting and helping our clients.
Excellent. Well, Todd and I think we were actually out to breakfast one day when you were telling me what your ideas and visions were for Halo back quite a while back. So,
Yeah.
I've known about you guys since before Halo existed. So that's pretty cool. So tell us about Halo and what you guys do and some of the different services that you provide for the seniors and their families.
Sure, and you hit it on the head. The backstory is probably will tell you how we got here today. So as you know, Jim mentioned, I was a realtor. I got into real estate in 2015, but with a very specific niche and desire to only serve seniors. I had a personal experience serving my grandmother with Alzheimer's out of her house, a longtime house, and saw what it did to the family, the chaos, etc. And that was my aha moment or impetus for, wow, there has to be an easier way to get this done. So we entered as a realtor with a very specific niche, as I mentioned, and that is how we served clients. We just really would take on a lot more of the to-dos than just selling the real estate. So in the beginning, I had an extra team. I had a few extra team members, and we would just assign kind of a project manager internally to each of these families to help manage all the transition. So that's what we did for the first 3 or 4 years. And we got to a point after enjoying some success at that, where the families would either tell us, wow, that project manager was like irreplaceable, invaluable. Or we also got into situations where the client wanted some help, but they didn't have a home to sell. So we thought, is there something we should do or change so that we can, provide services to a family that doesn't have a home? Or is there a way for us to use our resources to keep serving families in a different way? So that's when we rebranded everything, probably right before COVID, under the Halo name, and really now take more of a project management position. So as Halo sits today, we're a real estate company, a property management group, and a project management oversight group. And after we meet with a client, they just use us however they feel best. And so it really becomes a customized approach for whether they want to do parts and pieces on their own, or whether they just want to raise their hands and go, I don't want to deal with any of this. You do it all. We can do everything from the sale of the house to the transition of the mom or dad and everything in between. So as it stands, that's how Halo operates today.
Okay, very good. Well, so Nita, what's it like to work with you guys? What's the process? How do the moving parts take place?
Yeah, the process is, well, it can be a simple one or a complicated one, I think. A lot of times we just get a call, or we have a friend, who has a relative who needs some help, and they give us a call. And when they do that, we really just listen and figure out what their needs are. And, it could be, our solutions may be as simple as sending them, a mover that's trusted or that we've used before, who has a lot of, great experience or good client reviews for senior moving. Or it could be something where, they have a laundry list of things that they need done and they don't even know exactly what all those are. And we can sit down and make a customized plan for them so that they don't have to be the ones calling every vendor to try to figure out the right mover or figure out the right estate sale or declutter. And so, once we hear what their issues are, then our team gets together and comes up with a customized plan for them to see how we can help.
Excellent. Well, I mean, so we were way back having that breakfast. I was in the process of trying to figure out how to create Life Copilot, and you were in the process of create, what became Halo. It both with the same goal of trying to figure out how to get information and resources to seniors and their families, because we've both been through it. I've been dealing with my in-laws, my parents, my uncle, and finding good information and good services and knowing even that they exist is challenging in that whole place. So
couldn't agree more. And you mentioned Life's Copilot. Yeah, you guys we've really gone about it in just two different ways, with Life's Copilot being a single stop resource where they can get on, check out different options to help. We almost stumbled into that, so to speak, meaning when we got into this, we knew from a real estate standpoint, if a house was going to have to be dealt with, if we didn't surround them with all these resources that moved it along, nothing was ever going to get done. It's too overwhelming. It's too emotional. Too many blocks. So as a realtor, you're not getting momentum. There's nothing's going to happen. There's no finish to the project. And so we thought, boy, anything we can do that moves this along is going to be in their best interest. So we started the process of saying, okay, how do we identify 3 or 4 what we think are highly respected, really valuable partners in each kind of segment? And so we have adopted kind of I don't want to say an exclusive club, if you will, but we decided rather than refer a lot of different people, we'd rather really get entrenched with 3 or 4 vendors that we know like the back of our hand. We know their hiring process. We communicate on a regular basis. And those will be the partners that are in our resource group. We wanted to be held a little more accountable, so to speak. And so today, when a client calls Halo, usually, like Nita said, it goes down 2 paths. One is they've already done quite a bit of the work and they just maybe need a couple of gap fillers. I'm looking for this type of a company or that, in which case we'll just connect them directly to our vendor resources, no charge on our part. And the second one then is maybe we're the first call in the process. That's the kicker when we think we can be most valuable, is if they happen to get to us first, then it's, well, we can handle everything and then we'll explain it. And if they like that idea, then we go that route.
Oh, very cool. Well, I know, full disclosure, we have just done a couple deals together where you've brought in Caring Transitions to help people get their house cleaned out, one way or another, through liquidation, through a sale, or through clean house or what have you. And it's fun to work together because ultimately the family's under so much stress, trying to get rid of mom or dad's house, get mom or dad moved, get all the different things that go with the moving puzzles. It's, there's several different pieces. I know myself, I'm still guardian, trustee, and POA from my mom and my uncle, and I'm working with elder law attorneys for both of them right now, cleaning up a couple of different little things, and a few years ago I didn't even know what an elder law attorney was. Okay, but they are like literally worth their price in gold. So when people go, I don't want to pay that fee, I'm going, yeah, you do. So it will save you big money down the road. So
Yeah, to your point, the origin of the last couple of transactions we've got to work together on. The first one was a referral that came to us from the actual retirement community where the husband and wife were staying, because they knew here they are staying at the community, but they still have a house that, 50 years full of life, full of stuff. And they're not in a position where they can just be bought back and forth from a house, and try and get this thing solved. So that one came from that spot. The most recent came from an elder law attorney who knew that, geez, you're going to need help here. And yet the mom and the adult daughter are now in another state. So how are we going to get this thing done? And on this one, like we've said, we've worked with you on a couple of different ones, and even in addition to all that you guys can offer and what we've done, I've still needed 2 or 3 other vendor resources on top of that.
Well, there's so many different moving parts in that process, which is why I think it's so overwhelming. I was at I don't know if you're familiar with Sparks, but it's like a networking group, and it was first time I was there last night. I knew a lot of the people there, but
Okay.
I met a lady, and she's a caregiver for her brother, who's I think in his 50s, but he had a stroke, and there's some things that go along with that.
Okay.
And so I'm like, do you know this resource that you can actually get paid plus get help with this? And no, of course they didn't, so it's like, there's so many different resources out there for our seniors that it's not that we're lacking resources or lacking programs or lacking services. We're lacking the knowledge of them and how to access them, and so you feel like you've got to get that information out one way or another. So, that's, I'm thrilled when there's those like you doing that out there, trying to direct people in a path that will get them to where they need to be, and not find out about it 10 years down the road that, oh gosh, wouldn't it have been nice had we known, so.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's our biggest, I don't know, bitter, not bitter, a sad moment is when the family, does call us, and we do a little bit of tell me your story. And they're, within 5 minutes, they're like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have called you 3 months ago or 6 months ago. So, to your point, there's no training for any of this. Yet it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time and how fluid or quick your situation is. But almost all of us are going to deal with this on some level. So we just start Googling, and nothing wrong with Google,
No.
except to an elderly person who's not done much Googling, and then all of a sudden the world's going to start coming in and out of their house. It's scary. And to an adult child who's sandwiched between their own kids and a mom and dad, it's overwhelming, and they could Google all day. They just don't have time.
And
So
they're maybe in a different state or a different city or what have you else, all the above, so yeah.
right. Yeah. So we like working with good resource partners like yourself, because when we got into this, we learned quickly that the resource partners are dominated by a lot of mom and pop, or really servant heart-based businesses.
Right.
People who could do other things and they chose to do this. So we thought, boy, we can't be all things to this client. Like, we can't be the mover, the realtor, the elder law attorney, the estates. So we've got to just get ourselves in a position to manage it, and then empower all of those, really heart strong companies that want to do the work. And maybe we can just put them in place, and we can just be a lead provider for that.
Well,
So
very good. Well, so where do your leads come from? I know that you do through your different partnership programs where you have different vendors that we work together. But other than that, how do people find you? I mean, other than website, whatever.
yeah, so most of our business in the almost 9-10 years we've been around is referral based. So they come from the resource partners, predominantly a big portion from the communities themselves where our customers move to. So assisted living, independent living, memory care, skilled nursing, any of that type. And then another big chunk comes from our referral partners, elder law firms, estate sale companies, that type of thing. Beyond that, they can certainly reach us on our website and on Facebook. It's Halo Senior Solutions, like you said, haloseniorsolutions.com. They might also run into one of our Halo other sister companies. Halo Realty Group is its own real estate company that can help a client buy, sell, invest in real estate, but 99% of their work is in the downsizing of a house. And so they can get us online socially, or call us. Actually, if I can remember that number, that'll be a real test. Is it 866?
Well, we can put that on
We can.
put it out. What is the so what I was going to ask you, one of the things is, I know at one time, I don't know if you're still doing this or not, you could sell somebody's house, you could also you had an investor, in-house investor that would do stuff on that as well. So if somebody goes, I don't know, I mess with it, just get rid of it.
Yeah.
The easy button per se, you know.
Yeah. No.
So I mean, I don't know if you guys still do all those things or.
We do. I'm glad you mentioned that. So when a client, gives us that initial consult, we'll gather a lot of information in 10 or 15 minutes. So because we've done this so many times, we know what to ask to really figure out which paths we're going to end up down. And so one of the options, if the family makes it clear that we've got a house to deal with, maybe they're going to share with us priorities that say, look, I don't need to make amends, or boy, I don't have time. I can't come deal with this house, or boy, this house has had so much deferred maintenance that, it's just ready to fall. There are a lot of things they're going to indicate to us that'll lead us to think, hey, wait a minute, maybe one of our solutions should be a quick buy or an easy button, like you mentioned. So the real estate group has the ability to buy the house, fair market value, has the ability to buy it and lease it back to the family when that type of a situation arises. We've actually partnered with Adult Sons to do some updating and then list the house. So because we're 3 different divisions all working in concert, the family really gets a customized solution. So yeah, to your point, we've got a lot more creative flexibility in how we handle the house. It doesn't just have to be sign in the yard and sell it like a normal real estate transaction.
Well, I was going to say one thing I was going to ask. Well, at least one of the people that's watching us right now on Zoom is a realtor. I know her name. So, but anyway, so what I was going to ask is there any, I know you have a real estate company part of your division. Is there any way where there's referrals from other realtors that maybe need help with some of these different aspects of it, or maybe it's something that should be an investment or whatever? Is there any place that you work with that?
Yeah, I could actually let Nita speak to this. She and I spoke this morning, and then literally when she mentioned she's director of operations, most of her world and time is spent with Halo Senior Solutions. That's an independent project management company, serves seniors, nothing to do with real estate. The realty group is where I spend most of my time. So she was just sharing with me, hey, I've got, 2 or 3 referrals, and they're from agents. So yeah, it's not uncommon at all that an agent might call Halo Senior Solutions and say, I'm a realtor and I really don't want to deal with the stuff that I'm going to have to deal with to help this elderly client. Is that something you guys can do so that I can just, use you to help? And so the answer is yeah, absolutely. A portion of our business in the past has come from realtors. And so we love that relationship and can honor that, certainly. So if they don't need the real estate, then by all means, they can just use the Halo division, Halo Senior Solutions.
Well, that's, see, I have a lot of empathy on that because,
Right.
I'm well known. I was, or at least, I mean, I'm probably getting less and less, but I was well known in the real estate industry for a long time because I managed a large, real estate firm for over a decade. And so for a long time, I had realtors afraid to work with us at Caring Transitions. And I'm going, it's a separate entity. We edify you when they come in.
Yep.
Now it's kind of, since this is all I do and I'm not managing the real estate firm anymore, it's kind of starting to, mellow out on that question.
Right.
But I just got the question yesterday, so it still comes up.
It's still there, and I get it. And as a good realtor, you're looking to do your job well and protect your interests and all that. And so we've tried to separate the companies. They're certainly totally different legal entities, no commingling of anything. And Nita's been with us, like she said, almost 3 years. So her world is predominantly Halo Senior Solutions, and so realtors will refer in. A lot of people end up just going into Nita's world, and I don't even know we're dealing with them. So,
well, I just wanted to bring that up because I'm
point.
very sensitive to it because I've had to work real hard to get people to go, no, that's this is
Right.
this, so but anyway, so
Yeah.
and it's like I say, for me, it's getting lesser because people are starting, people's memories are what they are, but
Right.
but anyway, so Well, tell me, could you kind of maybe explain a couple, kind of tell a couple stories of some people that you run into and the circumstances that they have found and how you kind of helped them get out from under it, or I guess, because what I don't think people realize is the scope of what's facing that family when they're trying to downsize mom or dad, or, maybe it's an estate, whatever it is. The average family, this is national statistics, the average family takes 9 months to get mom and dad's house cleaned out and sold. Okay, or on the market. Let's see, forget the sold, on the market, and that's a lot. I mean, and I've been there, and my in-laws house, it took us 18 months, okay, because of all the stuff we had to deal with. It was at a distance and what have you. My parents' house took 60 days. My uncle's apartment, probably we got it knocked out in about 30 days, but it's completely consumes you
Yeah.
during that process.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. For what we see, there is no right. I always joke, my longest engagement was 18 months, literally 18 months. And the fastest we've gone is 10 days. So every situation and every phone call we get is totally unique, but they share a lot of commonalities. And so to your point, families, dysfunctional and or even the most, cohesive units, it can drive a wedge into them. And so, the one I'll share with out of the gate was very independent living, husband and wife. He and her lived in a ranch home. They'd done the things right. They had downsized from a big house, and now they were living in a ranch house, and she gets dementia. So he spends his time living there and trying to care for her, and goes ahead and gives me a call at the request of a community that he's visited. He's not yet committed, and he's trying to plan ahead. So he's doing all the right things, trying to, gather his info. He decides he's ultimately going to stay there and not move, and he's going to care for her longer with the dementia. I get a call from him about almost a year and a half later, and he said, "Hey, this is John. Do you remember me?" And I said, "I do, of course." And he said, "It's time, and I should have did it when we talked a year and a half ago, because you could see that John literally aged like a president. I mean, it just took the life out of him doing what he thought was best, and a decision only he could make. I'm going to care for my wife, and I'm going to care for her here. But we ended up helping him, but it was just a lot more on fire, chaotic, emotional, all of those things, because we waited the year and a half. So you've got that extreme all the way to, we've had situations where an adult daughter, I think it was actually an adult ex-daughter, she was divorced from the son, but she still loved what would have been the mother-in-law, because she felt like the kids, the real kids, weren't that nice to her. Calls us up and says, "Can you come over here? I've just stumbled into my ex-mother-in-law's condo, and it's undescribable, it's deplorable." And long story short, the adult son in his 50s had a hoarding affliction, and he decided he was going to buy a lot of stuff, have it delivered to the house, and then he was going to have a heart attack. So he passed. And so literally mom is, maybe you heard my dogs in there. Maybe
you probably heard mine too. So yeah.
Oh, good. So it literally, the house went downhill so fast, and it was just littered top to bottom with boxes of stuff that was bought. And unfortunately, he really did mom wrong, ran up credit, everything. So mom was literally destitute with no options, animals it was deplorable. That was a situation where the adult daughter, thank God, the adult ex-daughter said, "Look, I'll take any service you guys can do, but we need her out of here." And so fortunately, we were able to use our resource partners. We bought the condo, we got her moved instantly. We had the entire thing done in 10 days. From deplorable, no chance, dog do everywhere, to safely in an assisted living community, secure, equity unlock. So the situations are, like you said, we never know what we're going to get into. And so it's we never know what we're going to get into.
Yeah, and I
One
understand completely. I was thinking, as you're telling that story, I was thinking of a Caring Transition when it was a realtor referral. They were trying to get the
Yeah.
house listed. It was a daughter. It was a daughter of the dad and a stepdaughter of the mom, and then there was another stepdaughter of the mom, or stepdaughter of the. And everyone hated each other. It was really a lot of fun. But I remember going in to look at the house in the initial meeting, and the dad was in a wheelchair. Mom was in a walker, and she should have been in a wheelchair. Okay, and that was a hoarder situation. And they were still sleeping upstairs, and they had like some kind of a lift they went up to go. And I'm like, there are so many things here that scare the snot out of me. If there had been a fire, they couldn't get a gurney in there to get them out. And I said, first things first, we got to find them a place to live, and then we can come back and deal with the house. So that's what we had to do. But yeah, it's scary sometimes the situations people find themselves in. And
we only know what we know, and usually most of there's always a hint of shame or embarrassment that comes with it. Somehow we all feel like we should age with dignity and just drift off with an ascot, and it's not. It's ugly, it's vicious in some cases. In many cases it's tough. So and a lot of kids will instantly just start doing the action because it's what they know. It's their best guess that, well, I got to do this. I should go ahead and do that. We'll start cleaning mom's house, or we'll start doing this. And so there's some kind of action step because they just don't know any better. And then you've got 50 years of emotional sibling positions that do not change. Those are what they are. And we all fall right back into those roles. So, we're about to go through with it myself. I've got parents who are in their mid 80s. We finally got them, started this conversation about 2 years ago, said we were going to move them out. Hold on one second.
okay.
I didn't know how loud she was on your end, but
She was pretty good.
She can be pretty loud here. So we're about to go through it with my parents. We started about 1.5 years ago. They've been in a home they've been in forever. And my brother is an administrator in the community they're going to move to. So it doesn't matter. Like it's a freebie, basically. Like he's there. He knows when it's available. He can get you the best. So even when it's as easy as it gets and it's just sitting there for you, it's a challenge. So they're going to move first, get there safely, and then they're going to have a house that they're going to have to deal with kind of over time. And so I already know what's going to happen, as you might. We're going to be doing this little bebop back and forth for a while, and and sooner or later that's going to get old. So I just got to let it run its course. So it's always interesting. And like you said, they're just always going to need a lot more resources than they think because it's just difficult.
Well, I think a lot of times too, and I think that unless you've experienced it and really come out the other side of the experience, okay, I don't know that it's very easy for people to even understand what they're getting into, okay? And beyond all the overwhelming stuff that you have to deal with and all the things you have to turn and make things happen, from an emotional standpoint, that we were talking about different people being caregivers or what have you. Most people, 1 in 3 households has someone being a caregiver to someone in that household that has some kind of disability or age related or what have you, which is huge numbers. Okay. But then additionally, statistically, like in dementia friends, they teach us this, but that 67% of the caregivers die before the person that they're caring for because of the 24-hour 365 stress
Yeah.
that they deal with. Well, that even puts things in a bigger problem. Now they got the person out there with no care, right? And then the other thing is that I experienced, because I didn't know any better. This was before I got into this. Um, they say, whoever they are, but they say that that move for that senior after they've been in that house for 30, 40, 50 years, and then that move is more stressful and more emotionally taxing than a death in the immediate family. And the depression rate becomes extreme. I dealt with a family member that I didn't understand that. To me, we moved out of a second floor apartment to a first floor on the same building with the same neighbors with the same parking spot. No, nothing really changed. He had new appliances and new carpet. To me, this was a win. And he didn't see it that way. Okay. And
Yeah.
so we moved him. I had him all functional because my wife is the head makeup artist at the Indy Screen Park, and so basically from September to November, I'm a bachelor. She's never home at night, and so I go, when she's done, we'll come back in and dial the place up, but we'll make it functional, right?
Right.
I could have lived like that for about 10 years and never thought anything about it. It wasn't the way it impacted him. He went into a massive depression, tried to commit suicide, did 2 stints in the senior psych ward at St. Vincent's, which if you weren't depressed before,
Right. You'd be after
good
that.
people there, but oh my God, it's not an easy place to be. So, but we set him up for that failure, not knowing that we were doing so, not understanding. To me, it wasn't really even a move. To him, it was. Okay. Um, and then, later on, his psychiatrist said that he thought if he went to assisted living where he had more structure, whatever, more social, he'd be fine. So over Thanksgiving weekend, we moved him in, and this time we put everything away. We had everything, hung on the walls and everything. And he's been a rock star there. It's like, on their community board, he's president of the garden club. He's, but so we set him up for failure the first time. We set him up for success the second time. But families do this to their families all the time, not know what they're setting them up for because they have no idea what those possible ramifications are, which is why working with someone like yourself or whatever, I think is so critical to give people, because I'm constantly begging people to let me help them with the resettle on the other side. And I go, if you don't do us, if you don't want to pay for us, you need to do it. And here's what you need to do because you don't want to end up in the stress center.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And we literally, I mean, we just moved. So I downsized over Christmas. And, somebody might look at me and go, what do you mean downsize? You're a kid, you're a baby, when I serve these 80 and 90-year-olds. But it was, I had to remind myself of all the stuff I say to my clients because I was losing it. And I'm like, and this is chaos. And, and you're like, so imagine if I'm 80 or 90 going through this, it taxes you emotionally and stressfully in a way you're just not used to. So couldn't agree more. And I know Nita's in the same boat. We're blessed, with different parents and different ages, but we're about to all go through it on some level.
Well, that's good. So Nita, what would you like to add to this that we're missing in this conversation here?
Well, what are we missing? I think, one of the things that's really important is to know about our business anyway. A lot of times, like some of our biggest clients are people who live out of town, or the son or daughter lives out of state. And we are such a great resource here and even globally. We can do work in other cities, other states. We have successfully moved people to St. Louis or Colorado. We've had, speaking of kind of going back to your story, we were just talking with someone a few weeks ago that needed to move the mom from California to Indianapolis. And the detail that was talked about as far as setting the mom's bedroom up exactly how it was in California into her new assisted living home, that's the kind of stuff that we want to talk about. We want it to be as comfortable as possible for her, so that her bed looks the same and her nightstand looks the same, so that, you know, it's just a familiar place, even though she's moving thousands of miles across the country.
But,
So
you
I
know,
think
that
that's
is
important.
important. People don't realize, especially for if you have a dementia patient. You know, it's like one of the things that we've always done is we always photograph everything in the one place and then replicate it in the next. You know, and it's, you know, we do a lot of moves, California, Carolinas, whatever. But we work with other caring transition franchises, and we send them, here's whatever goes. This goes in this room. This goes in this room. Here's the pictures of how it's supposed to go. And they do it to us, which is very helpful. You know, and it's nice to have that network that we can work with. You know, but yes, and you're absolutely right. And if, like, for a dementia patient, if you don't have those things as close to being the same as possible, they wake up every day to a new stress center.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you mentioned you know, the network part, Jim, and that's so good for the listeners to be aware of. So, you know, not only are you a part of, you know, one of the nation's largest, you know, transition franchises, but we're all in a group called, you know, National Association of Senior Move Managers. Now that's, you know, an association nobody would even, you know exists, but it's the very specific type of thing and resource we use together, that helps us serve, you know, moving families when it goes state to state or area to area, so that we can be a consistent resource on both ends.
It's always a big help, you know, like I said, and I love what you guys are doing with, you know, I think that all of us in the industry need to be as aware as possible of the different resources that are out there to bring to their attention. You know, like, did you know that you can get paid to be the help, you know, home, you know, help your family member? Do you know, you know, to all, because, you know, most people, if they're taking time to be their caregiver, they may not be getting as many work hours in or whatever, so it could be a real financial disaster for them. So this just helps. It's not going to make them. It's not going to make them rich, but it's like, you know, help put groceries on the table, you know, that type of thing. So, you know,
Yeah,
but
every
people don't
little
know
penny
these,
counts.
huh?
Every penny counts when
It sure
you're, you know,
does.
when you're doing that.
So, well, I'll tell you, I know that I'm trying to be cognizant. I know that you have an appointment coming up, so I'd like to give you some exit opportunity there. What is there things I want to make sure we don't miss something? Is there something you guys want to make sure that people are aware of, or something you would like to remind people to think of when they're going through the process? You know, places to you know, if you had a chance to get on a megaphone and yell at people, this is something don't forget. You know, that's the kind of things I'd like to say. So,
Nita, I've got one. Can you think of any?
I mean, I have one, in that I don't think it's ever too early to start planning.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, my mom has just downsized also, but had she known of Halo, we would have been able to help her tremendously. And she just went to a different house. She's not ready to be in a community or assisted living or anything, but we still have so many resources that could have helped, or we can set up so that, you know, in a year when they do need something, you know, I don't know, bars in the shower or something, we're already ahead of that.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. For us, you can't call us too early. And for that reason alone, because they're just, every transition, you know, has its own speed, its own cadence, its own crises that comes with it. And so whether you're just kicking tires because you're thinking about maybe downsizing to independent living, or whether you're knee deep in the, oh gosh, mom just got discharged and they say she can't go back to her house, and everything in between, the faster you can get us on the phone, the better, because there's never, the one thing I love about all of our resource partners and everybody I've met in our network, the first phone call is always free. I can't tell you, and this includes attorneys and most of the elder law firms that you'll work with. Everybody's got a free consultation because they just need to hear, because you can't be all things to all people. So if they can only help you in this bucket, but they've got a good resource that can help you with this, this, and this, they'll be willing to share that. And so you're going to be the benefactor from calling them early. You know, and that is one thing I love about our industry is just get to somebody in our industry, and usually they can say, hey, that's not my cup of tea, but I've got somebody who can help you with this, and they can take care of things. So like Nita said, it's never too early to call.
I couldn't agree more. That's always one of my things is so many times I get to someone's house and it's like I hate to be the bearer thing. I really wish you would have called, because they made decisions that were really poor decisions,
Yeah.
you know, that could have been maybe something that we could have done for them, or you could have done for them, or, you know, 10 different other people could have done for them in that particular space that we know exists, but they did not. And maybe they Googled something and that was what YouTube told them to do. I don't know, but you know, but they missed out on opportunities, you know. So and it's sometimes really hard to go back and fix those things, you know. So
yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. That's always the bittersweet moment of, well, sorry, I spend as much money as I can, you know, advertising, but you know, if we were a behemoth, then you know, you could, you know, Google us, and then I could change a lot of lives. But
yeah.
sorry, we're on a budget.
Well, guys, I am so excited to have you guys here today. I think that you know, this message. I will put this video out, and you'll get a copy of it to do as ever you please. We've got some guests here. If they wanted to ask questions, I'm trying to give them time to do that. But anyway, so basically, I want to thank you. I know you got your next appointment coming up, so I'll give you a little drive time to get that accomplished. And I will send you a copy of this. It'll be on our website. It will also be going out in our newsletter. So the Life Copilot, if you just go in and go under resources, there's a video library. That's where you'll find it. Okay. So guys, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you very much for having us on, Jim. Appreciate it.
Have a great day. It's pretty and sunny out right now. So
Oh.
it's going to be cold next week. So see you later.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys.
Bye-bye.